Imagine a wooden boat, your life, slowly sinking. You are desperately trying to patch the holes with temporary fixes, such as band-aids. But the water keeps rising, an inevitable force threatening to submerge you. This is what depression is really like. Hi, my name is Leah Levenhagen, and today I will be presenting a speech about the reality of depression. Instead of dismissing depression as a phase, we should educate ourselves in the mental and physical symptoms to provide more effective support to those we know who are struggling with this and encourage them to seek help. Like many of you, I once believed that depression was just a phase and that someone could just snap out of it. But my own battle with depression not too long ago has taught me the true power of this condition. And I'm here today to share what I've learned from my experience and the path to recovery, in the hope that we can all foster a more supportive and understanding community. The first thing I would like to talk about in my speech today is the 4 different types of depression and their different characteristics and symptoms of each of them. The first type is called major depression. This is the most common type of depression, and it is a state where a dark mood is all-consuming and you will lose interest in activities that used to be pleasurable to you. Some of the symptoms that you may experience or see through this is trouble sleeping, changes in appetite or weight, loss of energy, and just feeling worthless overall. And the sad thing is that the most common things that will happen is you will think about harming yourself or end up committing suicide. The second type is persistent depressive disorder. This type of depression usually refers to a low mood that has lasted for at least 2 years, but might not reach the intensity of major depression, as I just talked about. Most people with this type of depression can function in a day-to-day, but usually feel very joyless or low and not happy. Other symptoms might include appetite and sleep changes, low energy, low self-esteem, or even hopelessness. The third type is bipolar disorder. People hear about bipolar disorder and usually don't think of it as a form of depression, but in reality, it is. People with this disorder was once known as manic depressive disease, and they have episodes of depression. But they also go through periods of usually high energy or activity. These symptoms look like the opposite of depression symptoms, like bad ideas, unrealistically high self-esteem, decreased need for sleep, thoughts and activity at higher speed, and higher pursuit of pleasure, and overspending and risk-taking. This might feel really good at the time, but after a long time, it can lead to really badly self-destructive behavior, and it is usually followed by a terrible period of depression. Medications for bipolar disorder are different from those given for other depression types, but can be very effective at stabilizing the person's mood. The last one I would like to talk about is called seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD. This type of depression emerges as days get shorter in the fall and winter. The mood changes may result from alternations in the body's natural daily rhythms, sensitivity to light, or in how chemical messengers function. Now that I've listed the 4 different types of depression, I would like to list some of the possible signs that you might see if someone you know has depression. The most common is feeling sad, hopeless, or worried. This is something that not only you can see in yourself, but others can see within you. You can also be very irritated or frustrated instead of being sad. You also might experience not enjoying things that you used to love doing. Your appetite might change, like you will eat either too much or too little. You could sleep too much or too little. You could have very low or high energy or fatigue, difficult time concentrating. Headaches or stomach aches is also very common, which is something that I struggled with personally when I was going through my depression, and having self-harm thoughts or suicidal. The next thing I would like to touch on is the most common causes of depression. One is brain chemistry. An imbalance of neurotransmitters, including serotonin and dopamine, contributes to the development of depression. Genetics is the second. If you have a first-degree relative, like a parent or sibling or somebody that you are living with currently who has depression at the time, you are about 3 times more likely to struggle with this. However, you can have depression without a family history of it. Like for me, I didn't have any family history of depression, but I still suffered with it. Stressful life events, including difficult experiences, death of loved ones, breakups, trauma, divorce, isolation, and lack of support can also trigger depression. Medical conditions can also cause depression. Like if you are sick or injured very badly, you might just want to end your life. Medications can also cause depression as a side effect. And substances like alcohol can cause depression or make it worse. The most common cause of depression I have found is social media, because you see how other people's lives are way better than your own and see how perfect theirs are, and you compare it to yours and you feel so worthless. This is never the case, because I have found personally that social media, the lives of people, are completely fake. The other thing I want to touch on is different types of treatments for depression. So the first is behavioral therapy. This focuses on the relationship between behavior and mood to target current problems and symptoms and focus on changing patterns of behavior that lead to difficulties in functioning. The second is cognitive therapy. This makes modifying pessimistic evaluations and unhelpful thinking patterns with the goal of disrupting these and reducing their interference with daily life. The third is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. This targets current problems and symptoms, focuses on recognizing the relationship between behaviors, thoughts, and feelings, and it also changes patterns that reduce pleasure with a person's ability to function at their best. Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy is combining strategies of cognitive therapy with mindfulness meditation to modify unhelpful thoughts and develop a kinder, more loving self-view. Psychodynamic therapy is a therapy that focuses on unconscious thoughts, early experiences, and therapeutic relationships to understand current challenges, improve self-awareness, and support the patient in developing more adaptive patterns of functioning. Supportive therapy is the most common. This offers a supportive relationship that focuses on helping people explore and understand their experience in the current situation. It is focused on strengthening a person's ability to make choices that help them cope effectively with various life stressors from a stance of genuine empathy and supportive listening. The last is medications. These medications are often prescribed for the treatment of depression. As each patient varies in their response and ability to tolerate a specific medication, these medications will be changed for each person, and no one person will have the same medication as another. So it is very critical that if you have depression and someone else you know has it too, you cannot take each other's medications because it could cause problems. In this speech, I have touched on the different types, signs, causes, and treatments for depression. We've seen today that depression is more than a feeling. It is a real illness with real consequences, but it is also a condition that can be overcome. The first step is simple. Reach out. If you're struggling, tell a friend, a family member, or a professional. If you know someone who is struggling, ask them how they're really doing. Let's break the silence together, because hope is not a passive wish. It's an active choice, and it's a choice you can make today. In the description of my video, I put a link to a depression test that you can take online if you would like. This is one that I took before I was severely depressed, before I knew that I was actually depressed. And if you think that you might be, take this test and see, and then go talk to someone about it. The quote I would like to leave you with is, It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. This is a quote by Aristotle. Thank you for listening to my speech.